a major rebuke of the president, a symbolic rebuke, but one showing the concern within the Democratic ranks and among some Republicans over the way the president has been waging this war with Iran. The Senate joining the House in passing a resolution to limit the president's war powers with Iran. If he were to choose to escalate things with Iran, he would be, under this resolution, would have to come back to Congress to get explicit approval to do just that. And that is, of course, exactly the opposite of the way the president has waged this war, has not gotten approval from Congress, has moved ahead with it. But for the first time, we're seeing the Senate and the House speak with one voice on this issue. Just moments ago, 4 Republicans joining with 46 Democrats. Those senators included Susan Collins of Maine in a difficult re-election race, Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, someone who oftentimes does break with the president, Senator Rand Paul, a libertarian-minded Republican, one who opposes foreign intervention for the most part. And there's also Senator Bill Cassidy, a Republican who Trump pushed out of his Senate seat by endorsing his primary challenger, has come back to the Senate and voted against the president, broken with him on some key issues, this being one of them. Republican leaders in the House had tried so hard, Abby, to try to prevent this vote from even happening. When it did pass a few weeks ago, the Speaker of the House actually adjourned the House early when they went to recess to try to avoid a vote from even happening. They ultimately had to vote on this in the House. It did pass that chamber narrowly after a handful of Republicans joined with Democrats, and now we are seeing the Senate follow suit. So a sign here, a message to the president as he comes here to Capitol Hill tomorrow, when so many Republicans, even the ones who voted against this measure, many of them concerned about the deal that his administration is cutting with Iran, and question about whether sanctions, for instance, should be eased with that country amid all the questions about its nuclear program. That's going to be front and center as the president addresses Republicans who are very concerned about the way he is waging this war.
A Republican House and a Republican Senate just voted to basically say, time to stop and come to us for approval. That is a pretty strong sign that the president's control, especially over the situation in Iran, is slipping.
Well, and I think it's a reflection of where a lot of those Republicans who did, join Democrats in this vote, where they see the popularity of this conflict. Now, the irony is the conflict has gotten less popular as the president has been working to end this war. The memorandum of understanding landed like a lead balloon, which
because it's bad,
frankly baffles me.
Bad.
We'll get into all that.
That's what he's trying to say, Anna.
No,
Give him a second.
I'm actually massively optimistic on this course, and I think that the worse it lands in the U.S., the more the Iranians will make concessions on their side. But this is a reflection of the political polling, because they have to sell it to their populace too. I mean, if you're the guy who's in charge of something that looks like you surrendered to the U.S., you're not going to be in that role very long.
I don't get how this looks like a surrender to the U.S. I think this is really bad for the United States because Donald Trump is in a horrible position right now. Right now, he's in the point where he's losing support from his own party. Not only do you have these four U.S. senators.
You say the walls might be closing in on Donald Trump?
Yes.
After a decade of.
Well, I mean, this is a big deal. You don't normally get a president of the United States who has his own party who goes against him. It's a very unpopular war. Not only do you have those 4 U.S. senators, but you also have John Cornyn. You have. Cassidy who's already come out opposed to him on several other issues. So you've got now 6 U.S. senators who are openly opposed to Donald Trump's agenda, not just on this, but on Bill Pulte as Director of National Intelligence. You've got the whole issue about FISA that's stuck. He wants that passed. He can't get that through. Donald Trump is in a difficult position. He's almost a lame duck president, and we haven't even gotten to the midterm.
Look, all of these things are layered, right? There's a group of voters somewhere in the middle who sided with Trump in the last election because they hated the way that Biden managed the economy. They now hate the way Trump has managed the economy. Trump's handling of inflation among Republicans is just 64%. That's compared to his general approval, which is usually in the 80s and the 90s. Then on top of that, you have Trump backing off one of the big things, which is we don't get involved in foreign wars. He literally told them he wouldn't start a war with Iran, and then he starts a war with Iran. So when you combine all of these things together, what's the impact?
Yeah, I mean, to one point, populists are fickle. Like they go where the popular kind of movement is, and those voters who are abandoning them now were Democrats and abandoned them then. They kind of swing back and forth. I think one of the challenges the Trump administration has is he came in confronting two long-term threats. I mean, one was Iran getting a nuclear weapon. The other was the degradation of our industrial base. He was correcting the degradation of the industrial base through tariffs, but that had an inflationary effect. So the costs are front-loaded, the benefits are back-loaded, and same thing with Iran. The costs are front-loaded. We saw that with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, the rise of gas prices. Like the amount of lives that may have been saved by going to war and preventing an Iranian nuclear weapon, potentially changing the direction of that regime. Hopefully, that's the intent of the MOU. That is something that's incalculable. But when people see gas prices go up $1, they feel that immediately. It's the mismatch between the short-term costs and the long-term rewards that I think is a political challenge, but could be to our benefit strategically as a country.
I just don't think that people see that there will be long-term rewards. I mean, we had a joint comprehensive plan of action under the Obama administration. Trump threw it away in his first term. He's negotiating a new deal that will actually put us in the worst position, giving Iran $300 billion, which they didn't have before, now allowing Iran to sell oil, allowing them to potentially control the Strait of Hormuz and to actually charge money to travel the Strait of Hormuz. All that is really negative. And
it's also not going to happen.
And at the same time, we had 13 American soldiers who were killed, hundreds who were injured, and the cost of gasoline is up. And what are we getting out of this? We have a president who's not focused on the issues that the American people are concerned about. They're not.
What are we getting out of this? They're signing an MOU this week, and you're
not
criticizing
focused on jobs and
MOU?
healthcare and affordability, the things that he campaigned on. He claimed he was going to end these wars. He didn't do this, and I think all this is just reverberating to the American people to the point where we
signed an MOU last week to end the war.
Come on, Keith. You have to give
years.
Peter credit.
How's that?
For a completely new theory on how to defend this terrible deal. We are trying to use
I've been
reverse
consistent on my
psychology
theories.
on the Iranians. We are saying that it is playing so badly in America that it is helping in Iran. It's reverse psychology on the Iranians.
I didn't get that either.
No, I'm happy to defend. I mean, the reality with the Iranian regime.
I am also curious.
No, the reality with the Iranian regime, and we talk about hardliners, they're not going to be as responsive to the democratic process because they're an authoritarian regime, and when people come out and protest, they get gunned down on the streets by the tens of thousands. They still need to get consensus within a very fractious and fractured leadership that is trying to figure out who is able to speak on behalf of
Peter,
Iran.
the reason
That is
even
the number one
Republicans are
challenge
speaking
with
out
all of
against
this.
this deal, even people like
Because they
Lindsey
see the
Graham,
poll numbers
who have
make it
no, it's not
scary.
because of the poll numbers, it's because they have been working on this issue. People like Lindsey Graham have been working on this issue for decades, and they know a bad deal when they see it. This is not about reverse psychology on Iran. It is about the fact that the merits do not hold up, and that after a war, after closing of Hormuz, after an economic disaster, we are ending up worse than we started, without regime change and without anything for the Iranian people.
If you think
and anything for the American people.
If you think that the future is a straight line projection from this point in time, sure, but the reality is this is not going to be a straight line. This is going to be something that goes back and forth, negotiations there. Can we trust the Iranians? No. Can they trust
I don't trust
Trump?
the Iranians,
No.
and I don't trust Donald Trump.
It's all
And I think
down
this
to
is, and I
power
think a lot
politics.
of
We still
people,
have the
even the
stronger hand.
Republicans, are having questions about that.